Why does no one want to live in these big, empty cities?
They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets.
No, seriously. Maybe it's the crime, or maybe it's just too much space, or it could be the weather, or a lack of jobs. But whatever the reason, these are the 10 cities that have tons of land and hardly any people. Let's take a look and figure out why these giant urban playgrounds are mostly deserted. Let's dive right into it. Number 10. New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans is famous for throwing wild parties, especially during Mardi Gras when the streets are packed. But on any given day, well, it's more like a ghost town. After Hurricane Katrina hit, the city's population took a nosedive from 450,000 to around 208,000, and even now, it hasn't fully recovered. It's sitting at about 370,000 people. With crime rates that can make you feel like you're in a real-life episode of Law and Order, some locals joke that outside of Mardi Gras and festivals, you might have half the city to yourself. New Orleans has just over 2,200 people per square mile. But, hey, if you like elbow room and the occasional street musician, it might just be the place for you. Quick question. Have you ever been to New Orleans outside of Mardi Gras? Did it feel empty to you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Number 9. Tucson, Arizona. Tucson's a bit of an underrated gem, but it seems like no one's figured that out yet. This city is home to about 547,000 people, but since it's spread across 241 square miles, that population density is just over 2,200 people per square mile. It's like a giant game of hide and seek. You could throw a party, and your neighbors might not even know because they're so far away. Although, with Tucson's heat, you might not want to throw a party unless you're a fan of melting ice cream before anyone gets a bite. Oh, and traffic? Non-existent. Tucson's got more space than a desert. And more cacti, too. The population density has even dropped slightly over the last decade. So if you like your elbow room and esco-arching hot summers, Tucson is waiting. Number 8. Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, the land of blues, barbecue, and, surprisingly, empty streets. Despite its 633,000 residents, the city's population density barely breaks 2,100 people per square mile. Some neighborhoods? They might as well be ghost towns. Crime has been a big issue here, and so has the economy, which is barely limping along. One local said he's been shot at 3 times while getting his mail, but he still hasn't thought about moving. Let's just hope the mail's not worth it. Even with its rich music history and Beale Street, folks are packing up and heading to safer, more economically stable cities. Fun fact, they've got a giant Bass Pro Shop shaped like a pyramid, so maybe that'll keep some people around? Number 7. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa is growing, but at a snail's pace. It's got 433,000 people across nearly 200 square miles, which means there's a lot of room to stretch out. 2,000 people per square mile kind of space. Now, Tulsa is trying to get creative. They're offering remote workers $10,000 to move there. Sounds pretty tempting, right? Who wouldn't want to get paid to avoid traffic and live in a city that feels like it's on vacation every day? In fact, during a weekday stroll downtown, you might feel like you're getting a sneak peek at the zombie apocalypse. No people, no cars, just wide open streets. So, Tulsa could be your dream city if you're tired of fighting for parking spots in more crowded places. Number 6. Virginia Beach, Virginia. Virginia Beach seems like a bustling spot during tourist season when 13.6 million people swarm the beaches. But when the tourists pack up and go home, the city's full-time population of 455,000 spreads out across its 249 square miles. bringing the density down to a relaxed 1,877 people per square mile. It's the perfect place to snag a prime beach spot without worrying about selfie sticks everywhere. The quiet winters are ideal if you prefer a peaceful seaside vibe. You can stroll along the beachfront without bumping into a single person. What about you? Beach towns, do you prefer them crowded with energy or peaceful and empty? Let me know in the comments. Number 5. Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City is famous for barbecue and fountains. Yeah, they have more fountains than Rome. But what it doesn't have? Crowds. With 508,000 people stretched across 350 square miles, the density is just 1,614 people per square mile. While the city itself isn't growing much, its suburbs are blowing up. People seem to prefer the quieter, safer outskirts of the city rather than dealing with the crime in the downtown area. But hey, if you don't mind a little excitement and love some open space, Kansas City's got plenty of room for you. Plus, parking? Never a problem. And with all that extra space, you might just stumble upon one of their many barbecue joints on your way to the next fountain. Number 4. Nashville, Tennessee. Music City. You'd think Nashville is jam-packed with all those tourists and country music lovers flocking to the honky-tonk bars, but the truth is, it's pretty spread out. The population density is just over 1,400 people per square mile. Nashville's been booming lately, with the population jumping nearly 15% between 2010 and 2020. But that's come with some downsides. Traffic is a nightmare, and housing prices have skyrocketed. It's like Nashville is the star of its own country song. Love my new job, hate my rent, and don't get me started on traffic. How do you feel about Nashville's boom? Excited for all the new opportunities, or just over the traffic? Number 3. Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville is huge. It's nearly the size of Rhode Island, 874 square miles. But with only about 970,000 people, the density is just under 1,300 people per square mile. This city is so spread out that one moment you're in a peaceful suburb, and the next you're in the middle of a traffic jam because everyone decided to drive at the same time. Fun fact, Jacksonville is the largest city by land area in the contiguous U.S. So if you love wide open spaces but still want the occasional brush with urban life, Jacksonville might be calling your name. Number 2. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Oklahoma City has serious tumbleweed vibes. It's 606 square miles with only 681,000 people, which works out to about 1,100 people per square mile. Compare that to New York City, where you can practically knock on your neighbor's door from your couch. Despite being so spread out, Oklahoma City has some unpredictable weather. You could be enjoying sunshine one day and dodging tornadoes the next. Oh, and you could fit Boston, Miami, San Francisco, and D.C. inside Oklahoma City's land area. That's how massive it is. Number 1. Anchorage, Alaska. Anchorage wins the title for the emptiest city. It has a mind-blowing population density of just 17.6 people per square mile. It's basically like playing a never-ending game of Marco Polo, trying to find another human. So why isn't Anchorage more popular? Well, it's cold, remote, and expensive. But if you love moose for neighbors and solitude, Anchorage is paradise. All right, there you have it. 10 giant cities with tons of space, but hardly anyone around. If you had to live in one, which would you choose? Let me know in the comments.